access to or what they're going to Okay, as I was saying,
Hello.
we had hella technical difficulties, so we're back.
Mhm.
Um, One, my internet was breaking, Discord was breaking, so we hopped over to Zoom. Um, so Ben, we're waiting for Ben, but we're gonna start pretty shortly. Yeah, that's okay though because this is our this isn't our regular time to do this, so that's probably why this happened. Um, but our plan is
Yeah,
if like Zoom kicks us, we're ready. Um, we have a system,
yeah.
so I'll just edit it out.
Yeah, we'll have a small intermission. All right, I think Ben should be
Welcome
in.
back.
We can't hear you.
Are we good now?
Hell
Yeah, we're
yeah,
good.
we are all
All
set.
right, perfect, perfect.
All right.
Let me fix this layout real quick. Oh fuck, I made it worse.
All right, we're in.
All right, I'll start recording. Should we
Yeah,
skip
start
the
the
intro?
recording and we'll do the intro.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the Zach and Aakash show. We are live with our guest Ben Gross, one of our friends from Yukon. I'm Zach.
I'm Akash.
And
What's up? I'm Ben.
What's up? Welcome. Let me adjust my camera real quick.
Yeah, so Ben is someone I met the summer after my sophomore year. We were both in this entrepreneurship boot camp together called IQ at UConn. Ben was working on his new headphone company at the time, and I was working on this social media app. And we've kept in touch with Ben since, and he's worked on other cool startups, had some really cool internships. So we're excited to get all into that today. And hopefully, his experience can help some of you learn, start cool businesses yourself, and get some awesome jobs. So let's get into it. Ben, to start off with, how's your quarantine been, man? How have you been dealing with the situation?
Yeah, it's definitely been interesting, I think. Along with obviously being a student and entrepreneur, I'm an athlete, run track at the University of Connecticut. And so not being able to do that along with everything and just like not being at school with friends and all that has been weird. But, I've definitely taken advantage of this time. I think, I've been doing some consulting for a VC that I worked with, working on a couple startups, really trying to stay busy, almost to the fact where, I'm way more slammed than I would ever be at school, or than I have been. So it was like sort of like a catch 22. It's like, do I want to do nothing or do I want to just be, have way too much going on? But I mean, overall, I think I've grown a lot. I think, you know, I've taken this time to really reflect on myself, get some priorities straight and, really dig into some areas that I'm passionate about and also areas that I think are going to be, pretty transformative, coming down the road.
Nice, man. That's
Very
awesome.
nice.
Guys, that's what you're talking about. That's what you should be doing during quarantine instead of sitting
Reflecting,
there watching Netflix all day.
being a
No.
being a stoic.
Hey, no, I have got my fair amount of Netflix in, I will say.
What are
Yeah,
you
what's your
watching?
favorite
Yeah.
show right now?
All right, I'm really excited to start. So finished Silicon Valley
Oh,
in the
Mm,
okay.
beginning of quarantine. Amazing. And I'm just about to start Middleditch and Schwartz, which is an improv show with Thomas Middleditch, who was in Silicon Valley, and then Ben Schwartz, who's John Ralphio in Parks and Rec. If you haven't watched it,
oh, yeah,
and they
yeah.
just do it's wild. Apparently, they just like ask the audience for like a prompt, and then they do 40 minutes of improv based on it. Apparently, it's hilarious. So I'm excited to get into that.
What's
Very
that on?
cool.
It's on Netflix.
Okay, okay. Gotcha. That's dope, dude. Silicon Valley, man, I gotta say I was disappointed with the final season.
The ending wasn't great. I loved the show, but yeah, the ending was not satisfying at all. Sort of frustrating, but honestly, I mean, you can't expect anything less from a show based on startups. I mean, I feel like that's how 90% of startups actually end. So I feel like it was fitting.
That's fair. That's fair.
So
Oh
Ben,
man. So
I just got an
go for it, Ben.
email from you, and it was related to Bloom. Want to tell
Oh
everyone
yeah,
what Bloom is?
yeah, for sure. So that's actually for a class. That's our
Interesting.
final. But so Bloom is something I started this summer. So when I was interning in New York at Loeb.nyc, which is a venture collective based out of there, I was sort of doing the rounds, getting to know a lot of the other interns and just network as much as I could. Um, and I became really good friends with this one kid named George, who goes to Indiana, or I guess he's sort of graduating. But really, really smart kid. And, we both have, we're either going through our own entrepreneurial journeys with startups or, just getting over with some. And so, we had sort of the same energy. We wanted to start something. I mean, I think the energy in New York was something I hadn't really experienced. And it's sort of like you wake up and I'm really excited to go to work. Like I'm like trying to get up earlier and earlier every day. And it was just that energy of being in a big city where lots of people are doing things that sort of motivated us to, okay, let's really go out and find something. So one thing we noticed pretty quick is that, we would just hang out a lot and, talk about startups, entrepreneurship, anything under the sun really. And what we found is we'd stay up really late and like we'd stay at the office and we were drinking complete shit to get energy. So it's like George was a Red Bull guy. He was drinking a bunch of Red Bull. I was drinking a bunch of coffee, and then we saw obviously a bunch of Coke, a bunch of just like really crappy things that people are drinking. So and George has had the lucky experience to travel to close to like 50 countries. And when he was in Argentina, he found this
Wow.
drink called mate. So it's traditionally from Argentina, and like 95% of people that drink it, and like 5% of people drink coffee, which is like an absolute complete dichotomy with the U.S., where it's like everybody fucking drinks coffee like way too much. So he was like, I have no idea why it's not big in the U.S. Like it's really good for you. There's like over 50 antioxidants, vitamins, minerals. And he's like, I don't know why it's not here and why it's not readily accessible. Like it's fairly hard to brew and like can be hard to get your hands on. But that's been the case with a lot of other types of food and beverages and even products in the past. But there's with today's channels and accessibility, you can really easily make things accessible, and especially in the ready to drink beverage or in the beverage market, that comes in the form of ready to drink. So it's just like teas, sports drinks, anything that you don't have to brew yourself. You don't have to make coffee. It's just something that you can go pick up from a store. You can order it. And so what we decided to do is sort of make a beverage company based around this, because what we saw is there are a couple people who are doing this. So we're not the first. We're not trying to say that or anything. But nobody was really none of these companies were actually targeting this drink towards people who work long hours, who are also trying to be healthy. They're more marketing it towards people who really love the outdoors, connected with nature, sort of like that Red Bull, that along those same lines. We're trying to more target the people who drink coffee every day, who go into the office, but who are also trying to live a healthy life. Like a lot of probably younger adults, kids who are just getting out of college or going into the workforce. So that's sort of what we're doing there. And we started brewing it on our own. We were brewing like, I don't know, maybe 50 pots of this thing a night. Just like experimenting with different flavors. We were like we were running all around the city, getting different extracts and stuff, trying to make it as healthy and as good as possible. Ran a bunch of taste tests, stuff like that. Went really well. And then school came, so sort of took a back seat. And then in the past couple of weeks, we've really started to, I think build up, and we were working on it over the year too, more trying to get funding more than anything, just because we need money to secure that first deal with a co-packer. We already have the recipe and everything. We were just trying to get a little bit of money for that, just because it's pretty expensive to come out of your own pocket. But now we're really starting to put together a plan on how to bootstrap this and get it off the ground.
Very cool. Very
Wow,
cool.
that's awesome, man.
Can you tell us about
So,
some flavors?
ooh,
Yeah, so it's pretty bitter. It's definitely an acquired taste if you just drink it straight. Like most people, like in Argentina, they'll just brew it. and then they'll drink it out of like a traditional straw and a gourd, a bombilla, as I think they call it. Um, and it's a pretty harsh, bitter taste, but it reacts really well with some citrus flavors. So we're gonna go. I think our first three flavors are gonna be the natural tea, so not sweetened at all, because ice, it's a little bit different. It's gonna be a cold drink, and then we're gonna go a peach pineapple, and then a mint yuzu um, flavor, which is mint with yuzu, which is a Japanese type citrus fruit. So sort of going on the more exotic sides, but also part of that's in part so we don't obviously set ourselves apart. But in the same thing, we don't want to we want to preserve the taste of mate, since it tastes very similar to a black or green tea, and with in terms of strength as well. So just trying to preserve some of that, and make sure it's not sugary. There's no sugaries, no calories. Really healthy. It's vegan, keto, all that stuff too. So tastes
So
phenomenal, I
is
will
this
say.
something you drink regularly now? Have you started to drink a lot of it, or?
Yeah, I did more in the school year. I haven't been able to as much, just because it's with all this stuff going on. I'm not really trying to risk getting mate from a different part of the world. Um, so that's been one thing. But over the year, yeah, I was doing it. It's really easy to brew yourself, and you can make it cold brew. You can just do like French press, like traditional ways of making it. And then I just got used to drinking it natural, with no flavors or anything. But you can also add a bunch of different stuff to it too. So I highly encourage anybody who wants to who wants energy but isn't really satisfied with the ways, just to try it yourself. Go out and make. It's super super easy to make, um, and it really does work. So yeah.
So you brew it like a tea?
Yeah, basically. So you can cold brew it, or you can warm brew it. We've just been warm brewing with it. So the French press and the tea kettle, and all that stuff.
Very cool, very cool. So when are you guys thinking of launching the product um, to get it to consumers?
That's a good question. So right now we're sort of trying to figure out what maybe the next steps are going to be. We have the branding down, we have the recipe. We're trying to figure out how to bootstrap, but realistically, we don't want to push it just with the whole economic climate. But I think the one thing that's going for us is people's psyche about how they think about health and wellness is really going to change after all this. So, and that's good for us because it does help the immune system, and there's a lot of health benefits, from drinking it. So, we want to ride that wave, and I don't think this is, it's not like people are going to be washing their hands, nonstop after this. It's some of that this phantom virus is sort of going to die down, once everything sort of, goes away. But there will still be that added notion of, okay, what can I do to make sure I'm healthy and sort of protect against getting sick, or all this stuff. And I think that's really a reason. I think something we've seen that's been like, okay, we really need to get on this, and hopes of launching later this year, potentially as soon as September, I think is sort of the goal, where it's like, okay, that's probably the earliest date we could launch successfully, without rushing it, and without doing due diligence. So that's probably the earliest date we would launch, and that's probably our goal. But I would say anywhere from there to November is realistic.
So are you planning on selling these online, or is it retail?
Yeah, so originally we had go to market strategy was a big thing we honed in on during the school year, because while the mate market isn't saturated at all, the energy drink and that market, and beverages that give you energy, that's a really saturated market, and you have to stand out on a shelf next to a bunch of known brands, who are in the hearts and the minds of people, and you have to compete against them directly right next to each other. So we devised a pretty unique, and pretty cool go-to-market strategy that involved a couple different channels right off the bat, and a lot of that's been, I'm not going to say destroyed, but with the closing of offices, gyms, retail stores, growing, which I think are growing channels for, beverages like this and, sort of food and beverage. Um, that definitely has halted some things and made us rethink, okay, how can we actually go about this? Um, but so that's something, we have to sort of rethink, but we will definitely be online. So D2C through Amazon, Shopify, obviously make that easy. But then also, we're hopefully still going to plan on going into retail. The branding on it's really slick. Because it's everything, everything's directed at, the young adults, and, young adults, it's that sort of hip, modern, um, sort of simplistic, minimalist brand that catches people's eye. And that's sort of who we are. I think both as, as founders, and then, also as a brand. And so we think that would go really well with a lot of, new modern retail stores, the Equinoxes, and the Cool Gyms of the world, the Soul Cycle, but then also these new sort of hip offices where, companies are, have coolers full of snacks and goodies and stuff like that. So, I think we will blend really well there. And a lot of that sort of, we'll have to see how all of this changes that. So that's definitely something we're keeping an eye on.
Very cool.
So when you started this, right, and you're thinking, I want a new energy drink, and my buddy told me about this mate thing. I want to make something out of this. What was the absolute first step you took in terms of if someone else has an idea and they want to get started? What would you recommend they do?
Dude, I tried it. That was like the first thing. I'm like, I can't like put,
Okay.
I'm not going to put any time or effort into this if it's like a product I truly don't believe in, or anything like that. And, I tried it for 2 or 3 days to sort of see the effects of it, both, like the taste, but also, it was supposed to be sort of like, really powerful in terms of, caffeine, where it's like, you don't get the crash or the jitters. And I wanted to test it out. I'm like, is this something I would actually use? Or is it something that, like I would maybe get once a week or something? And that was the absolute first thing, I did. And I think that applies to a lot of startups. You have ideas, but, I think the question is like, is this something you actually, you would actually use, or is it something that you actually want to build? And so, I think through using it for a couple days and then a week and then 2 weeks, and getting in the habit of using it and seeing actually, how amazing it was, how it, it really did work. I'm like, okay, this is something I want to build. So finding, making sure, I was passionate about it and I was going to be willing to, build something around this was the absolute first thing I did.
Nice.
And why do you think that passion is important?
Dude, because entrepreneurship's tough. Like I think anybody who has started a business or tried to has obviously seen that. Especially if you do it the right way. The more right you do it, the harder it is. You run into so many different problems and challenges. And if you're not passionate about something, you're just going to sort of let those roll over you. You're not going to be motivated. I think if you find passion behind something, you get a little dog in you where it's like, okay, I got to do this. Like I got to push through. Like, I don't care that, I'm missing X, Y, or Z. I don't care that like, I have to stay up till 3 a.m. I don't care that I may miss a school assignment for it. Like, I think that passion drives you, gives you that extra boost of energy when things get hard. And if you don't have that passion, it's not bad. Like you're just not passionate about it. It's like, but like, you need to be passionate about something. You need to be obsessed with it. Because that's what's going to drive you to, push through challenges. And when times get hard, really think back to, okay, why am I doing this? I'm not doing this for, for glory or for, or for money or for fame or whatever. I'm doing this because I truly believe in it. And I truly believe in what we're trying to build.
Nice, man. That was very well said.
I try.
So let's assume I'm someone who one day decides I want to sell a product online. Assuming I know exactly what the product is, how do you sell it and market it online?
Yeah. So, assuming you have the product, and assuming let's assume like exactly who the customer is too, because that's that's the other thing. Having a product and having a great product, you also have to know who the customer is. But let's say who that is. One of the things that I do, earlier startups is, the first thing I did is, we knew who was really gonna actually use this product. We dug into their life and you know picked apart their life, and their daily schedule, their interests, their passions, and created a persona that that encompassed the entire target market, and been like, okay, what are they going to be affected by, or what's going to move them to buy this product if they see an ad for it on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, and Google, like wherever. What's going to move them based on this sort of persona and lifestyle that they live, and these patterns. What are they going to see in an ad that's going to be like, I want to check this out, and not just like I want to check it out, but like, okay, this is something that that I could actually use and buy. Like that's the biggest thing. And part of that was showing them how it'll impact their life directly, or how it'll improve their life. When people view ads, they don't want to work to see how this product relates to them. They want to be told, this is how it's going to impact your life. This is when you can use it. This is how you can use it. They want to be told that, because people don't want to spend time on ads. They hate ads. It's rare that you see a cool ad, but if you see something that like catches your eye, or is like you can directly and easily see how it plays into your life and how it'll improve your life, dude, so much easier. And they might not buy it in the or like even visit your site with the first impression, but as you get up to 2, 3, and 4 impressions, dude, it's gonna click for them like that, because seeing that repetition, or just seeing and thinking about it, be like, oh, like I saw this ad earlier today about like a drink that improves my life, or like, or that gives me like health and energy. Well, it's 2 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon right now. I'm really tired and I feel like shit. Well, if this directly shows somebody drinking it at that time, or in a place where they normally where they might need it, dude, it's just right there for them. So it's just all about being creative and like really mapping out your customer, and then sort of their daily lives, their persona, and their psychographics, which I think is probably the most important part.
Okay, so you mentioned customer discovery. Let's go back to that. How do we discover our customer?
Biggest thing is ask people. I think the biggest mistake college kids assume is that their first market should be the college market. I think that's a huge problem. I think people do it way too much, and they do it because Mark Zuckerberg did it and was really successful. Everyone's like, oh, he can grow it from campus to campus to campus, so can I. No, you can't. It's very rare, I think, that college campuses should be people's first markets, because it's so niche. It's so different. You don't find anything like that, anywhere else.
They have no money too.
Exactly. And everybody else is trying to market there. It's just like, it doesn't make sense. So the first thing is talk to people all around. Talk to your contacts. Don't limit it to university students. Like that's the biggest thing. People do like surveys, and it's be like, okay, like it's a good like most of the time they're awful surveys. First thing. And I'm in that boat too. Our surveys used to suck, and it probably still do. But we were sending it to they send it to kids everybody at their school. Like there's no diversity in that, in terms of like demographics, geographics. You have to talk to a bunch of different people. You have to go over all the use cases for the product. If you think that this product, a certain product is only going to be used for X, you have to realize that it's going to be used for both X, Y, and Z, that there's multiple use cases for it, and the use case that you're envisioning might not be the use case that's the most popular with the biggest your biggest potential market. So actually really explore the product and how it can interact with different consumers, and then talk to people. Go out and like actually talk to people, not like surveys. Talk to friends, research people in the industry, or people who you think key stakeholders, and talk to them about it. Do research, understand. Assuming your product isn't like a completely revolutionary new industry, new sector type thing, it's most likely an improvement to a product or service that's out there. Look at what they're doing. Look at what they're doing right. Look at what they're doing wrong. And then sort of cross-reference that with what are you bringing to the table. So those are the couple things, that I have to say. It's like, you have to look at, the holistic product and the holistic market. Don't limit yourself in terms of geographics, demographics, psychographics. To find the actual customer, you have to go through, exhaustive, measures, I think, to, really, really hammer it home. And it's a continual process too. As your product, evolves, so does your market. So it's not a one-time thing. You're not going to be, okay, this is our product and this is our consumer. Now it's consistently changing, because I think, if, after you launch too, you will realize that you'll find more use cases, that, could be potentially applied to other target markets or other people. And so it's a continual cycle that never ends.
Very cool.
So, Ben, you are clearly very knowledgeable about this, but a lot of people starting might not be. So, what was your origin story? How did you get started in this whole entrepreneurship type businesses?
Yeah, so for this, we have to go back. That's 5 years now. So sophomore year in high school. So I'm originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Great place, great entrepreneurship network. Really underrated. Lots of big Fortune 500 companies there. If you're interested in, starting a business, Minneapolis is a great area for it. Got to plug my home. You got to do a shout out to them. But this all started sort of sophomore year. So my dad worked at Target. My mom worked at Target for a while. Grew up, sort of business family. And so I've been around it, business, my entire life. I always had, a little bit of interest in it. And entrepreneurship especially. And so sophomore year, my friend, who went on to be a co-founder and CEO of our first startup, we were having a problem. The problem was, we had earbuds, and we were breaking them so often. Because like every couple months, we would break them, and we would just grab our parents' credit card or our money and go spend $40 at a Best Buy, Target, wherever. And we were really annoyed because our parents kept getting mad at us. We're like, we don't want to spend money. So we came up with an earbud, which is not this one. These are just my regular crappy Apple ones, that you could easily, it was modular. So if you broke a part, you could just simply replace it. So it's 5 different parts. And we tried raising capital for like a year and a half while we were trying to do like R&D on it. Didn't really work. Everyone's like, this is a great idea. I love your guys' hustle, but like you guys are pre-revenue and you're also 16 years old. Like your parents drove you to this. Like we can't invest with you guys. Like, I'm sorry. Looking back, it's fair. But we ended up getting connected with a sourcing agent, who connected us with a manufacturer in China, who did our R&D for a couple $100, and we made this thing into a reality. So we went through sort of the iterative process, and through this, touching back to this customer discovery, through this iterative process, understanding, okay, how are people, why are people going to be interested in it? Who's going to be interested? We came to find that people weren't really concerned with the fixability aspect of it. It was the customizability, or the customization and optimization that we brought to the table through allowing you to switch out different parts and different pieces of the earbud. Because on a daily basis, people use earbuds for a ton of different things, and each earbud, each brand is only good for one area on the spectrum. Like bass, if you want heavy bass, you go with Beats. If you want like balanced, you just go like your regular earbuds. If you want treble heavy, they're good for like softer music, you go with Bose. And they generally don't, not generally, they don't move outside of their area on the spectrum. So what we figured out is, okay, if we can provide people with an entire kit where they can just switch out different earbuds based on what they're listening to, or how they can, or how they're listening to it. Like if they're walking, just sitting in bed, working out, like whatever, we can really, we really have something here. So we shifted our entire marketing, like our entire branding, all towards that idea of optimization and customization. So that was probably the biggest thing. And all this was just through trying it. We didn't have it, the biggest blessing was not getting any money. I think through this, it's because, it made us work that much harder. Sort of the underdog, you have a little bit of chip on your shoulder. We're like, okay, we want to come back and show these guys that, hey, you should have given us money. And so we just, tried. We would go to the University of Minnesota, which was, 20, 25 minutes away. We would set up shop at like on the memorial, like on their like campus lawn, like in the quad, and just sell, get people to try it, get their feedback. What do you think about this ad? What do you think about this packaging? We had really cool wooden packaging, and we had a couple different types. So really interacting with people to see what they understand, see what they think about it. What do you like about this, like this quality compared to this one? So a lot of it was just putting time in. And I think as younger kids, one of the blessings is you have so much time. Like, yeah, school is important, but like, and like you have extracurriculars, but you also have a lot of time to go out and do things, especially during during times when other people are available too. So like the summer, working our butts off, during that time. So that was probably, the reason I got started, the really the way that, I've come to know a lot of this. It wasn't by reading or learning any of this in class. Not that you can't, but it was by doing, because that idea of executing is so much different than learning what a process is by reading it in a book, or anything like that. I think that's like one of the biggest mistakes that, schools make, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship, is you don't know how to execute. You go over all this, these processes and, ideation and all this stuff. But when it comes down to it, not many kids know how, know how to execute. It's hard to mimic, in a school setting. So just going out and doing it is, the easiest, and not the easiest, the hardest, but it's the best and most effective way.
Yeah, completely agree.
Gotcha. Yeah, all right. We're going to take a tiny intermission because with 3 people, Zoom puts us at the 40-minute limit. So we're going to take a quick 2-minute break and be back with a new Zoom call, and we'll have another 40 minutes to go.
Yep, I'm going to pause the recording.
Yeah, see you guys soon.
I have an idea. Let's record a shitty intro.
Right,
Just strum it. Let's switch this.
All right.
Classic. Cool stuff, Ben. Oh, okay. This is the Zach and Aakash show. Oh, God. Hello, everybody. How are you all doing today? On stream, we're waiting for a Zoom link. Luckily, OBS has the ability to pause the recording, so I can just hop back in, I guess, or I don't have to edit it. I don't know what I'm saying. Oh shoot! Don't snipe us. My bad. We're back.
What's up?
Perfect. It's perfect, dude. I can pause the recording, so I don't even have to edit it.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Cool.
So. All right, ready? We're going back, or we're already back, but hello, everyone. Welcome back. We just switched Zoom links.
Welcome back.
All right. I think that went a lot smoother.
That was
progress.
Good timing. We got it. So, everyone who just joined, this is Ben. He's our buddy. I met him out in the Worth Institute. Yeah. We're all chill.
Yeah.
We once went to that club in New York. What was the thing called?
Oh, you're right.
I don't know. You had to
Core
have
Club.
Core Club.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, you
that
need
was fun.
50,000 to join, and we got invited. It's cool stuff.
I went twice, actually.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. Big moves.
What'd you guys do there? What was it about?
Ate food.
Yeah. Did you end up exploring? Oh wait, did you
and I
explore with us
explored.
after?
Yeah, I explored with you. We pretended we were members.
Yeah, and so actually, I went there and got a drink. The other time we went there, I know we were sort of wandering around the restaurant, and we looked like we didn't belong there at all. It was sort of crazy. People were sort of looking at us. And I'm like, why are they looking at us? And like, hindsight 2020, I'm like, I would have been, if I was them, I've been looking at us the same way. We're just like walking through it, like jaw on the floor, like what's happening. But second time I went there, I was prepared. So I acted like I was supposed to be there. Went up, got a drink. It was classy.
Research your wines.
Definitely cool though. Got to get back there soon.
One day, but I don't know.
Exactly.
That's like a overkill country club, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know. I don't really get the point of them.
50K, man, that's insane.
Yeah,
It's like
I know.
the country. It's like the country club without like the country. It's just like a club, just like, but it's like not. It's not like your traditional club. It's just like it's a restaurant. Like I don't know. I don't get the 50 grand. They got to sell me better.
I felt very.
So it's a fancy restaurant.
Yeah.
There's a restaurant, a spa,
a library.
Yeah. I think there's a cigar lounge or something.
Yeah, I think you can stay there too if you're like a member and you're in town for a couple days. But like, I don't know why you would pay 50 grand if you're a member there but don't live there. Like, the business model is
all for the flex.
I feel like the business model is flawed, except for the fact that they charge 50 grand just to join, and then also your yearly fees and stuff.
Dude, that was so fun though. Everyone was there. Peter J. Worth was there. Nick was there.
That was a good room. That was a good
Gordon
room.
was there. Yeah,
a lot of money in that room too. I remember it was I sat next to David and Chuck Essex, and they were talking about some of their adventures in Miami. We won't get into too much of that, but
yeah, that's for off camera.
Funny. Exactly. That was quite a night. Yeah, you heard some things. It's a good time.
And David's actually coming on next week. So
oh really? Yeah, you have to bring that up. Just don't tell him I said it.
Yeah.
I also remember that night Gordon was downing wine. Gordon was hammering.
I remember that. There was a lot of wine.
I think that was pretty funny.
I think Peter was stumbling a little bit. It was a good time.
He like tripped on my chair as he was walking, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." And he goes, "Definitely not your fault." Like, all right.
Guys, by the way, this dude's like what, 80, 90?
Oh, he's old, man.
He's old, yeah.
Doesn't get around very well either. So there's that. It's compounded.
Oh, we need to get him on the show. Fuck yes. That's right, dude. He's next.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. So anyway, back on topic, Ben, you mentioned you're an athlete too. So you're a college student athlete and you're working on businesses. And you're also involved with the entrepreneurship community at UConn too. So as a student, how did you manage all that?
That's actually the crazy thing. I went on a walk with my mom and our dog yesterday, and I'm like, man, my organization skills suck, especially now. And like, I've gotten a lot better at time management, I will say, just because you have to. It's like I only have 24 hours in a day, and like I do like to sleep. Like I'm not really one of those who can run on 2 hours of sleep every night. Like I like to sleep at least 5 or 6 hours. So the biggest thing is like I just like mapping stuff out, like mapping your week out. Priorities is like the other really big thing. What's important, like who have I gave commitments to, because that's the biggest thing. It's like if I commit time to someone, or if I say I'm going to do something for someone, I'm going to do it. And that's the priority. So a lot of it it changes week by week. How busy I am. There's some weeks that I'm just like absolutely swamped, some a little bit more low key. I'd say the biggest thing to deal with that, and like because at all times like there's a lot of stuff going on sort of in my life, so it's just like I would say the absolute biggest thing is just keep a clear mind and breathe, relax. Just like I can't and everything's not going to be nothing's going to like ruin my life at this point. Like if I miss a meeting, if I'm late to a meeting, if something goes wrong, it's just take a break, relax, cut yourself a little bit of slack. But at that same point, hold yourself to a high enough standard where it's like every day you're getting better. You're a better person, businessman, and an athlete than the day you were before. So it's, a combo of that, trying to be the best person I can be, but also not trying to overload myself with stress, and put too much weight on my shoulders, because again, I'm a kid just like everybody else. Like I'm not trying to, I'm not, it's very minimal. It's very small and unimportant, I think, of what I'm doing in the grand scheme of things.
Mm.
So it's just like understand my place, but it's get better too. I mean, there's no reason I can't be extremely successul. So it's like, okay, what can I do now, and with what I'm doing now, what's gonna eventually get me there. If I'm debating on working on a project, or doing something, one of the biggest questions, okay, is this something, it's like a good cause, is it something I'm interested in, but also like, is it something that's going to allow me to grow as a person and be better in the future? Is this something, or is it something that's not? Because usually if it's not something I'm going to invest my time into, because I have a lot of other things that I can do with my time. So it's being selective, and part of that is saying no. That's one of the biggest biggest things is learning how to say no to people. I think a lot of kids, especially who are getting into entrepreneurship or getting into business, getting either in college or after college, they don't know how to say no to anybody. Everything's yes, and you have to learn how to say no. Otherwise, you're going to have too much going on. And with that too, if you say no to someone, you learn a lot about them, because they're going to react in a couple different ways. It's either going to be like, oh, no worries, like I totally get it, like I respect your time, I respect your decision, or it's they're going to be the people that are really jaded about it, and those aren't the people like I want to go into business with or work with. So that's one of the other things is be conscious about who I'm working with and what I'm doing. But then also there's that aspect of I've worked really hard to improve my organization and time management skills, like on paper. For the past like probably 4 or 5 years, I haven't had a notebook or a calendar or anything that I use like on a consistent basis. So I'm just like trying to mentally keep track of things, and it's like now it's gotten to the point where it's like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Like I need to start mapping stuff out. And so quarantine has given me the time to really map out my days and stuff, and like actually put some stuff down, so I'm not just like, shoot, it's 12:05, I got a meeting at 12. So that's also given me time to better my quarantine has given me time to better myself in that respect as well.
Very nice.
Yeah, I gotta throw out there, Zach, if you hadn't messaged me at 12:30, I would have completely forgotten we were going at 1 today.
Oh, really?
I was in a Saturday mindset today, dude.
I thought
Friday.
I thought yesterday was Friday.
Same.
I just like it, and today sort of seems like a Saturday too. Like I had like 2 meetings today, this morning, which is like remarkably less than I normally have. So just like really relaxing like the entire day.
Dude, I was ready. Get up at 8 a.m., take a final, and it took 4 hours.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I've been getting up at
Not
7:30
okay.
every day.
Brutal.
I've been getting up at 7:30 every day. That's the other thing. Get up early, kids. I will say, gets you in a good mindset for the day.
That's why we do the show early.
Yeah,
like
it sets the tone.
It's been helping with that for sure. So one thing that a few of our audience members struggle with, and Zach and I have personally struggled with this too, is inspiring others to get started, to kind of instill some drive in them. Because a lot of people, they want to get started, but they just don't care enough to do it. I know one of our audience members wanted to get her brother more focused and into something like entrepreneurship or anything productive. Have you found any success with inspiring others who are, I guess, maybe lazy or something to start with and are now
Yeah.
better?
I mean, personally, I tend to be on the lazier side. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm not afraid to admit I'm lazy. Like and part of that is I think being lazy isn't like it's not a bad thing. Like I'm lazy, but when it comes to things that the reason I do a lot is because I work on things that I care about. So that's the first thing. It's like don't push someone into starting something that they're not like going to be interested in. Like I'm not saying don't try new things, but also it's like if you try something and you don't like it, dude, you don't like it. Like don't put your time into anything. Don't half-ass anything. Like don't put your time into something that you're not going to like. but I have found some success with it. Like I would obviously like to do a lot more of that. But the success that I found have is generally along a couple line, a couple like like I guess one big message, and that message is like, do you want to miss the boat or no? Like I think there's a you have a really short window, when in 16 to maybe 22, 23, where you can really get involved with entrepreneurship, and have a huge effect, at the building blocks. You can build a community, you can build stuff, and you can like really get into it during this time period. I think it's the best time to get involved with it. I'm not saying everybody needs to be an entrepreneur, because you don't. Like we don't need everybody to be an entrepreneur. But everybody I think should, if there is a time to get involved, it's now. And especially at this point in time, like digital transformation, America 2.0, like a lot of it is mumbo jumbo and sort of fugazi. I think I think some of it is, but also it's like there's you cannot deny that there's a huge change coming. There's going to be a huge, there's it's already begun, this movement, innovation, like an actual innovation, not just like making better search algorithms, or like or better ads. Like there's a huge digital transformation coming. So it's like my question to anybody who's like debating on like whether they want to get into entrepreneurship, like they're interested, but like I don't really know, like if I want to put the work in right now and I can just be like a regular kid. It's like, do you want to miss the boat or no? It's like, you have the time right now. It's like, if you say no right now and you wait 2 years, dude, the boat's going to pass you by. You're not going to have any time. You're going to be like, okay, I got to get a job, feed myself, feed my family, and you're not going to have any time, and you're just going to lose that motivation too. Like, find that motivation now. Like, I'm not saying like I'm not saying like you have to go out and like go for the first idea you think of, but you find something you're interested in, dude. And that doesn't mean starting your own business either. I mean, there's so many like really cool startups that are going on at universities, and people need help. Like, that's the other thing. It's like, you don't have to be the CEO or the founder of something. Like, I don't really like, I never really care who's CEO. Like when I like try to start something, it's like, I don't like think that that's the biggest issue. I think it's people, and I think some people, it's like, I want the title, to put on a resume or something. It's like, dude, go join a team. Like, there's a bunch of different ways to get involved, and I just say, like, don't miss the boat and go out and explore something. Like, don't jump at the first thing you see, but keep your option, or keep an open mind too. Don't turn anything off just because like you don't think you like it. That's like awful thinking. So it's like, I mean, that those are probably my biggest things of advice, but also like it's something I want to do more, like impact other people, because I think like, not saying that I'm like the perfect like college entrepreneur, because I'm most definitely not, but I think with my experiences, I think that hopefully kids will kids, whether they're in college right now or going to college soon, will see that, hey, what this kid has done, and learned, is something that is really cool. But also it's like, I want them to think that they can be better than me. I want them to be like, hey, this kid's done well, but I can do better than him. Like, I can build something better than that. Like, that's what I want. Like, that's a competition like I like to see. Like, I like to see this motivating kids to like to go out and do more. I think that's that's really important, being better than what's come before you. Not like, it's not like, not that it's like I don't want that necessarily fueling something, but that's always in the back of my mind. Like, because that's what sort of fueled me. It's like I saw people like sort of being successful like in college, and that's what sort of partially what drove us to start Mixers. Sophomore year, it's like, okay, I want to be more successful than some of these kids. Like, we see them doing that, we can do that too, and we can do it better. And so that's sort of what drove me, and I hope is driving this next generation of entrepreneurs too.
Nice. I love it. Yeah, guys, there's a billion reasons to get into this right now. Find your reason, and like Ben said, and like Zach and I have lived through, clout is definitely not one of them.
You will not get any clout. I'm not gonna lie. There is no clout in entrepreneurship.
It's like you think there is. It's like you get like an article written about you, and then it's like you realize that nobody's read it, and you're like, I've been in a newspaper or magazine. Someone's like, cool, I don't care. Like, congrats. Like, there's no clout in it. Don't go clout chasing for like from this. Like, it's not. Very rarely do people actually get clout from chasing it through entrepreneurship. Don't go down that rabbit hole at all.
Yeah, and the CEO title sounds awesome until you get into the ecosystem and realize there's like 5 million of those,
Yeah.
like billion of those. Everyone's
But
a CEO these
it
days.
means nothing. And it's like
Yeah.
when you're running a startup, it's all hands on deck. You know, if you sign up to do marketing, you're going to do much more than that. You're going to do everything. It's like, it's pretty irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen kids who like claim to start a startup in college and they just throw around CEO and CTO, and I'm like, cool, nice.
Like, what technology are you actually is the chief officer of? You don't
I have
have
no
any.
idea. Fucking Microsoft Excel or something like that.
I'm the CEO of our Google Slides.
I mean, I could be the CTO of this
Oh.
podcast because I fuck around with the OBS and stuff. That's it.
Chief streaming officer.
Chief streaming officer.
Chief streaming officer.
Mhm.
Oh man.
Yeah,
There you
clout
go.
is intoxicating. You'll know when
Yeah.
it's no longer supports you. You'll know. That's all I'll say.
Sometimes you just gotta walk the walk, and then
Hell yeah.
learn from
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the people who talk a lot. It's you walk the walk, you talk the talk. I mean, there's a big difference, and like I think all entrepreneurs have talked the talk before. Like obviously, it's like like most of us are like we're like that. Like we like to talk. Like, you know, we learn to sell, you know, ourselves and, you know, our brand and the product and everything, you know, through this. And so you do learn to talk the talk, but there's some that never learn to walk the walk. I think they never will go. You know, they're too scared to not be able to talk. I think is the biggest thing. They want to preserve that right. Or that ability to talk, and I think they're sort of scared. It's like, okay, you know, if we try to actually do this and we fail, you know, what am I going to say? What am I going to have to be? You know, what am I going to be able to say to people? Like, oh, I failed. No, and then it's like I can't go out and brag or say that I'm, you know, you lose that ability to clout chase. I mean, like if you like sometimes, and that happens. Like everybody's lost it. Like everybody has failed. Like I most definitely have failed, where it's like you have to go out and admit that. And a lot of people are afraid to do that because they think that, you know, their mentors, their friends, you know, even their investors or like businesses will be like, oh, you failed, we don't want you, we don't like you. You know, they think that their clout is the only thing that, you know, that is hold those, and they think the clout is what anchors those relationships. So they're scared to go out and do it. And I think that's just like the totally wrong thinking. Like the people that support you and like are interested in what you're doing don't like they care if you know if you succeed or you fail, but at the end of the day that's not going to change your relationship with them, or it shouldn't at least. So my thoughts on that.
Big dogs
Sure,
don't
man.
have to bark.
Yeah, whether you succeed or you fail, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Except for you, you're gonna give the biggest shit. So live based on that. Whatever makes you happy.
Amen.
Your failures are your successes. That's the Zach statement of the day.
No. Well, Ben, it's been awesome having you. We've learned a lot from your experience. Do you have any final thoughts to impart?
Let's see. Stay safe, stay inside. I don't care if your governor opened up your city or your state, stay inside. Don't also people stop reading the news too much. The news is good, but don't get wrapped up in it. Don't get wrapped up with, you know, everybody, you know, whether, you know, put aside your political differences, grow as people, you know, be safe, don't endanger others. Like that's the biggest thing. Be smart. Don't go outside if you, or don't go to public. You don't have to. I urge you. Like we'll get through it as a country. But just like, you know, be smart about it. Like you don't gotta go to the movie theater, get your haircut if you don't have to. Like be smart, stay safe, stay home.
Hell yeah!
Beautiful.
Keep injecting that Lysol.
Oh yes, 100%. I did see a meme. Apparently, they're coming out with a Lysol or a Lysol Jewel. And
That's
there's a
not-
picture of Trump hitting the Lysol jewel that I thought was hilarious.
Fuck yeah.
I was dying.
Oh.
My parents didn't find it as funny, but I thought it was pretty funny.
Oh man. And
Yesterday
also,
was
where
Tide
could
Pods,
people find
Tights,
you,
Lysol.
Ben, if they want to reach
Oh
out to you?
yeah, I'm on Instagram, Ben Gross, Grosse. Yes, it is pronounced like the word gross. It's not grosse. It's bengross.com on Instagram, spelled out DOTCOM. No, I don't have a website or anything like that. I just thought it was a funny Instagram name. So follow me if you want. Hit me up on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. LinkedIn's fun. I think sometimes people take it too seriously. But LinkedIn's fun. I'm on there. I'm on Twitter, Ben_Gross maybe. I don't tweet a lot. I'd like to, but I follow some cool people and repost some cool stuff if you're interested. So I will give a couple shout outs. I'll give a couple reading or listening recommendations to the viewers. Besides from the Zach and Akash show,
Of
I
course.
recommend, anything from, This Week in Startups, Jason Kalkanis, anything with Chumah Palihapitiya, Balaji.
I've been watching
Srinivasan.
recently.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
Balaji Srinivasan. I like my NBA and my Ringer too. The Ringer got some great NBA shows if you're interested in that. And then I'm also reading right now Misbehaving by Richard Thaler about behavioral economics. So really good so far. Only 40 pages in though. So that's what I'm up
Nice.
to.
Awesome. I gotta check out Misbehaving. That sounds interesting.
It's really good. It's some really cool ideas in there. I'm just getting into it. I'm already hooked. So definitely some cool stuff.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, you guys, you know where to find us at the Zach and Akash Show on Spotify, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube if you want to check us out live, usually at 9 a.m. I think this is the last day where we're off schedule through finals. We're done with that. So
Yep. Back to normal.
We'll be back on track, and we might go through a bigger schedule change once Zach starts his job and things start getting back to normal.
We'll see.
We will keep you updated on that. That's it. As always, thank you for joining us, and we will see you, or you will hear us next time.
For Sunday's Wikipedia, which I gotta research. I have no idea what
Excited,
I'm
man.
doing.
Well, thank you very much for having me on, fellas. Much appreciated. Had a good time.
Yeah,
As always.
it's great.
Oh, yeah, man, it was fun.